Mistakes are either great learning exercises or catastrophes, damaging the trust in the brand. Step one is getting people to admit they made a mistake. Finding out about a major mistake when it is too late is every boss's nightmare. You have the authority, the power, the money to fix it, but that window has closed out. Find out what we should be doing in this week's show. Welcome back to year 4 of the Cutting Edge Japan Business Show, which we release every Monday. I'm your host, Dr. Greg Story, your corporate coaching and training guy, master trainer, president of Dale Carnegie Training Tokyo, Japan, and best-selling author of Japan Sales Mastery and Japan Business Mastery. My new book, Japan Presentations Mastery, will be out soon. We are bringing the show to you from our studio in our High Performance Center in Akasaka, in Minato-ku, the business center of Tokyo. Why the cutting edge? We are looking at giving you a big edge in business in Japan. Let's all be at the forefront, at the cutting edge of how to flourish here in this market. This is episode number 194. If you are wrong, fess up. それでは行きましょう. So let's get going. Sometimes things go wrong. Mistakes are made, errors pop up, best laid plans are laid low. Stuff happens. How we deal with these incidents makes the big difference. Some societies are legalistic, litigious, and phalanxes of lawyers are lined up telling us to deny everything. Japan isn't one of those cases, so we expect a different sort of way of doing things here, and admitting blame is accepted as long as it is handled appropriately. Troublesome word, appropriately, is a bit like common sense, which often proves to be very uncommon. What we may think is appropriate isn't shared by others. This is where things get murky in the service sector world. When things go wrong, what is the appropriate response by both parties? The aggrieved client can completely lose it and let go with both verbal barrels tearing strips off the offending service provider. Given nearly 30% of the Japanese population is over 65 these days, we can all look forward to various short-fuse G-chans or granddads exploding with rage when some level of service is not delivered at the appropriate level. Those long Japanese lifespans, combined with ever-shortening tempers and easy irritation from other people, creates an explosive service sector cocktail. A friend of mine was lamenting some poor service provision in the IT area. The project was 9 months late. When it finally did come online, it didn't work properly at all. We all know that everything in IT takes longer than promised and always costs more than expected, but at least it is supposed to work. There can be many reasons for this. The brief may have been unclear, the execution could have been the problem, there may be extenuating circumstances, maybe it was basic incompetence. When I was working at one of the retail banks here, a very, very large amount of money had been carted out to sea on a barge and set on fire in the form of a new internal operating platform, not working well at all. It was launched, then immediately scrapped. The autopsy of why it didn't work became one of those failure orphans where there was no one responsible, no one lost their job, and no lessons were learned. It was like it never happened. Everybody involved suddenly had collective amnesia, and it was quietly swept under the rug and forgotten. Anyway, back to my friend, who was rather perplexed by the reaction of the IT service provider, who was not at all responsive. Magically, the perpetrator of this grief managed to switch the tables around and blame my friend for being the problem. Now, this reaction is puzzling. Why would you take that path? Not answering the plaintive emails, texts, and phone calls gets aggrieved people worked up. They feel slighted and frustrated at the same time. So, lesson number 1 is make yourself easy to reach to solve the problems. Is your name there on the website to be contacted if people have an issue with your service and they want to complain directly to the boss? In my experience, our Japanese staff are all ninja at hiding trouble from the boss, so always expect to be the last to know what has occurred, usually until it is absolutely too late. Also, don't be mealy-mouthed about the problem. If you didn't deliver from the buyer's point of view, then admit it, because the beauty of, or otherwise, is in the eye of the beholder here. Perception is the key, and that is to say the perception of the client. There is money involved, obviously, but there is something much more valuable involved, and that is trust. Find out more when we come back from the break. If you want to be successful as a leader, do the Leadership Training for Managers course. All companies need people who can both manage and lead. Leading people screams out for real skills in communication, dealing with all different types of people, being excellent at innovation, planning, delegation, handling mistakes, doing performance reviews really well, and inspiring and motivating the team. Do the Leadership Training for Managers course now in either Japanese or English. Are you doing business with Japan? Do you really know how things work? Japan Business Mastery provides the answers. Do you have the right networks and know how to create them? Do you know how to get on the same wavelength with Japanese buyers? Do you know what being trustworthy looks like from the Japanese perspective? Japan Business Mastery is based on more than 30 years' experience in Japan and will become your go-to guide. Want to succeed in Japan? Buy Japan Business Mastery now. Welcome back. If you want to try and wriggle your way out of responsibilities, as was the case on this occasion, then expect bigger ramifications down the road. My friend is very well connected and will not be speaking highly of the services of this provider to any and all who will listen. That will become an invisible cost line in the P&L where revenues are being negatively impacted by reputation damage. You cannot necessarily see it, but you can be assured it will be there. I'm reminded of another case where a very sharp businessman I know has quite a big following on the internet. Various people who feel they have been duped have created some scintillating reading on the internet whenever you Google his name. When people are looking to do business with you, this type of prominent, smelly baggage will hurt you forever. It is surprising how some people don't take any responsibility for poor service. My son had a bowl of sauce spilt over him at a ramen shop in the Azerbaijan. The waitress was Asian, not Japanese. To everyone's astonishment, she did nothing, just stood there looking quizzical, seemingly wondering to herself, now how did that happen? No apology, no frantic provision of towels to soak up the sauce, absolutely nothing. The Japanese manager was busy apologizing, eventually providing the towels and wiping up the catastrophe. The guilty party just went back to grilling some meat like nothing had happened. Maybe she didn't speak Japanese or English or was just stupid, who knows what was going on inside her mind. Luckily for her, it wasn't some short-tempered Ji-chan granddad she spilt the sauce over, as I am sure she would have been given a severe tongue lashing. The manager would have been given a good serve too, and it would have turned in quite a public imbroglio. When departing, only the manager came outside to bow and apologise at the door. Where was the errant staff member who should have been standing there looking contrite and sorry for the kerfuffle? The point here is we all know that things go wrong, and yet how well have we trained our staff to take responsibility for their mistakes? This young woman had been given no guidance at all, and yet here she is working in a retail food environment where accidents are bound to happen. She may be part of that foreign low-pay hourly trainee brigade that will increasingly be called upon to staff Japan's restaurants, shops and retail outlets. But so what? They still need to be trained and prepared to work in one of the most demanding retail environments in the world, where standards are high and forgiveness is low. This is a good time to take another look at what we are doing in our companies to prepare ourselves and our staff for mistakes, incidents, accidents, chaos and trouble. We can't rely on people's common sense or their capacity to take appropriate action. We need to tell them clearly the why of what we are doing. We need to explain our values, and we need to train them on how to respond to trouble as viewed through the eyes of the aggrieved client. We also have to keep telling them, because even though we may get sick of saying it, they need to hear it all the time for it to sink in. If we can't get this right, and our competitors can, then we are in deep trouble. I hope you enjoyed today's show, and so please subscribe on YouTube. Share it with your family, friends and colleagues. Become a regular. Hit the little bell icon to receive update notifications. Our website details are on screen now, www.dale-carnegie.cojp. It's packed with value, so certainly check it out. We try to offer as much value as possible, so you might also enjoy our other shows. In fact, we are releasing content 6 days a week. For podcasts, Mondays for the Cutting Edge Japan Business Show, Tuesday for the Presentations Japan series, and every second Tuesday for the Business Tatsujin no Oshie Show, Wednesdays for the Sales Japan series, Thursdays for the Leadership Japan series, and every second Thursday for the Business Pro Podcast Show, Fridays for the Japan Business Mastery Show, and Saturdays for Japan's top business interviews. Now, you get these wherever you get your podcast. Also, every Monday we release the Cutting Edge Japan Business Show. Every second Thursday we release the Business Pro Television Show, and every Friday the Japan Business Mastery Show. Saturdays, every Saturday, we're releasing Japan's top business interviews. These are all on YouTube. We appreciate your support, and please let others know about it so they can benefit too. We want to make a contribution to helping people build their careers and businesses, and so please join with us in that endeavor. In episode 195, we are talking about public enemy number one, people. So, yoroshiku onegai itashimasu. Please join me for the next episode of the Cutting Edge Japan Business Show. We are here to help you. We've only got one direction in mind for you and your business, and that is up.